Okay, if you were watching, I promised you I was going to do it. Oh, I'm totally going to do it. So, Dungeons & Lasers 2 is on Kickstarter at the moment. This is their test sprue. Beautiful little sample sprue showing, and I want to draw attention to this, the new half-height walls. So these are half-height 25mm walls. That's the previous size 50mm. It's all compatible. You mix and match it up. But the half-height walls were just to make it easier for you to move your figures around the dungeon that you'd created. However, when I saw them, I thought, oh, I might be able to make a dream come true. Something that I have wanted to do for 10 years, maybe more, okay? And that is recreate the HeroQuest board in a nice kind of three-dimensional 2.5D kind of effect. So I reached out to one of my buddies over in Archon and I said, dudes, those sample sprues, I know you kicked out a lot of them. Any chance you'd fancy having a crack at this with me where we would build the HeroQuest board using this? Now, it's not going to happen automatically because just the way this is all engineered, it hasn't been engineered to create a HeroQuest board. So this is going to be an interesting build because we're going to have to do some customizations here and there to make the whole thing work. If you're wondering why Teller's so silent here, it's because he doesn't have a mic. You can talk into mine.
Ah, hello. Yes.
You need to hit him. He owes you a coat.
So, the objective of this build, we're calling it affectionately a one-day build. We think it'll be about a day. About a day. Anyway, so they said, how many sprues do you want? I did a rough back of a packet calculation, and I said, I think it'll need 50. So a box of 50 sprues arrived, and now the challenge is for us to make the coolest HeroQuest board that ever existed. Or at least the coolest HeroQuest board that we can make from the 50 sprues and whatever other bits we're doing. So in this project, we're going to work with this. We're going to customize the hell out of it to make the board. We're going to come up with a name because I was doing a little bit of research, okay? And there's a dude in the HeroQuest lore called, is it Belnor, Justin? Belnor. It's Belnor or Bellend? I think it's Belnor, okay? This Belnor had a mine. He was a dwarven guy. So because this is all kind of underground, kind of miney kind of effect, I think what we'll do is we'll theme it as Belnor's Mine or Belnor's Deep or something. Mm-hmm. So what do we have to do? Your HeroQuest board, typically, I say typically, it was exactly the same in every box that it shipped in, has 26 squares widthwise and 19 squares depth-wise. I've overscaled this just to give us a little bit of a border of some sort. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28 that way, which gives us 1 square additional to the side as a border. And then I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22 this way, which will give us 1 to here, and then maybe another 2 to here. Just need to double check, but that's out to try and give us a little bit of balance. So 19, 20, 21, 22. So it gives us 3. Right. Okay. Clipping is the order of the day. Clipping and dry fitting. So we've started clipping out some of the bases just to try and see what we have and if we have enough. Now we'll just continue the whole clipping process. Clipping is continuing. We have all of the pieces clipped out. Ended up using more than 50 sprues worth though for this, because I wanted to add a bigger border to the outside of it at this stage. Bearing in mind, this is all the dry fit stage. Nothing is going to be glued until we're absolutely certain that we're happy. But I wanted to add an extra border around the outside, and I wanted to add a bigger piece along the bottom here, because in the original board, that's where the branding and the likes went. And I have an idea for the branding. Now what we're doing, clipping out all of the low walls, so they're all going through the clipping space. Chatting and arguing with each other as much as possible about should we or how would we split the board for storage. Too early to tell just yet. Too early to tell. Lots of little experiments and things to do. But the key is not to make any mistakes, because one out on this and it ruins the whole project. So what we decided was that John would measure up. He's over here doing it, measuring up the actual rooms. So, and what I'm doing is I'm trimming these out just over here, getting those trimmed out. And then once we have them trimmed, we're dropping them on to try and give ourselves the picture of the board. Because whenever you're adding in additional squares for borders and things like that, it can become quite confusing. So having a picture that we're able to look down onto will help, I think, with a lot of the decisions that we're making now. A, it'll help us make sure that we are thinking correctly about how we're putting the walls in. B, I also think, John, it'll help us in terms of how we decide if and how we're going to split the board. We're a bubble.
Yep.
We're allowed to stand close.
We're in a social bubble.
We're in a social bubble. So I like you in my bubble. John brought me a lovely gluten-free suit as part of our bubble. Right. We will persevere. Lots of cutting of stuff that is never going to be used in the final project, but will, I hope, make our decision-making process and make our accuracy on this all the more solid. Okay, we're now at the stage where we're starting to pop the walls in. So the walls have been clipped out, and then what we're doing is we're working out roughly what walls we need. So this is our paper layout, and we're just kind of counting up the walls. We then go in, and I've done a 2, a 10, and a 10, where we've started to put it together using the clips, which I believe are in a box over here. Let me grab one. There we go. So these are the clips. So we've started to clip it all together. We will go over that with adhesive later. But for the moment, what we're trying to do is to get the layout. Where's the last 3x3? Is there a 3x3 missing?
2x3 is what we're after.
Yeah,
Sorry,
3x2. Right, well, we're close enough. So what we're doing is we lay out the paper, and then we work out where the walls would go. And then if there's no peg holes, we're going in and drilling some peg holes. They don't always drill perfectly first time, so you have to go in and do a wee bit of an adjustment here and there. But the reason we're trying to keep as many of the peg holes in place is to retain the strength as much as possible of the actual pieces. Although it will all be glued down, it does give it some extra strength and some extra rigidity in the whole thing. So it's a worthwhile extra step to take. Right, we will go through and continue laying this out to see how we get on. And then we'll show you a little bit of the cutting and trimming that we have to do to get the final pieces to fit. Right, for a one-day build, we're coming up to the end of day one. It's been good though, look. Okay, so we haven't glued these into place yet, okay? But we actually have the basics of a HeroQuest board. A couple of, what? Yes, I'm going to talk about them. Yes, tell her. So it's
we thought we had spare, so those are 4 that need to go in here.
oh, right. Okay,
Before
so
we mess up.
yes, so we don't have spare, do we? So that goes there. That's wrong. Okay, right. Well, hang on. So that one goes in there.
Yeah. And there should be one more, which is here.
Okay.
Thought I was going crazy there for a second.
Yes, you did. Okay. So just need to have a think about that. You know, we could always, Justin, if we needed to,
Put in 2 small ones.
just swap it out for
Yeah.
Two small
this was a
ones.
mistake that I made that we're trying to fix.
so.
Yeah,
There.
that should work.
Yes. Yes, that's right. So we have everything cut. We just have to glue, but
Yeah.
gluing is not one of the last steps, but gluing is not a step that we're going to rush into, okay? We're just going to take our time, you know, kind of dry fit as much of it as we can. Make sure, like, for example, this bit
It's got a little bit of pressure on there that we need to look at.
we need to fix that a little bit, but watch this. So we're keeping the board in 3 parts, okay? So if you lift that end, the idea being that whenever it stacks away, lift her up, it just puts away just like that, okay? So, but we still needed to be able to put it together and actually have it go together in a kind of solid fashion. So what we discovered is when you put the walls in, you can't use the clips full because you just can't get it underneath the wall to get it into the clip. But watch this, whenever you trim the clips, first you can we'll slot it into there. Oh, okay. And then we'll slot this one in. Okay. And that'll just need to make sure that we raise these just ever so slightly to make sure that it all goes together. Oh.
Do not want to break it.
Yeah.
Now, I have something.
Something is causing it to not want to go.
There we go.
All right, which one was it?
So it was one of these walls was just pushed a little too deep.
Okay. So we've got to make sure that those walls, whenever they're in, are in.
But not super in.
Not super in. So it'll be like that.
Yeah, and then it comes together.
And then like that. And then like that. And by Jove, Justin,
It's pretty close, huh?
we have the makings of a HeroQuest board here, my man. So then this bit, there's still some holes here that need filled.
Yeah, I think there's like 1 or 2 in the middle.
Right. So that one needs filled. That one needs filled. Okay. So we'll get those filled.
Yeah. But these are going to go down in.
That goes in like that.
I might need to do a little bit of adjustment on some of the holes that we've bored.
So that goes there. And then that one goes in like that.
That's pretty close to your map.
So will we bring the map over, do we see?
Yeah, so I'll grab the map from here.
Yeah.
And we'll do.
So that has now become that.
I'm pretty damned impressed with how that has turned out.
That's not bad for a day one. Now, the HeroQuest boards are always tight. It doesn't matter what way you bring them up. So, let me grab a HeroQuest Mini. Oh, I do. My favorite of all of them. Well, actually, my 2 favorites.
With the broadsword.
The Barbarian and the Chaos.
Yeah.
Okay? Oh, we may need to rethink
Mr. Chaos.
this
Would
bit.
Mr. Chaos be outside of a room?
Okay, they would. They all can go outside of a room. So,
It's alright, he can just shimmy.
he's fine.
That's weird.
That's not right.
Yeah.
That is not right. So what?
I think I need to bore a hole here and bring it out and across.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
needs to go there.
Yeah. And then I need to cut 1 extra 32.
Yes.
Which I
Okay.
think I had done. This is where I thought I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I had trimmed the thing off here and then I put this in the wrong place.
Yeah, so hang on.
The one that I have trimmed is sitting there.
Yeah.
I pop it in there.
So it'll go there.
Yeah. That goes
That works there. So
And
these doubles can come out.
Yeah. And then I need this, which is a 32 that I've trimmed
Mm-hmm.
on our handy dandy little circular saw.
So that will go there.
Trim that off. And then this just needs the backside quickly cleaned.
That's more like it, isn't it?
Yep, that's it. Sorry, I misplaced one component. This is why we're dry fetting.
Yes. This is why gluing is way down the line at this rate.
Right.
Okay,
Now, let me trim this, or are we done?
I have an idea
Yeah.
before you go down that route.
Yeah.
I think we should experiment with replacing these walls
Right.
with even lower walls.
Well, if you want, I can, sort of.
But we're not going to cut these.
Okay.
I have some spare walls.
Something like this?
The other one.
Like this?
That one.
All right.
I have spare walls. What I suggest we do is that we run these through the saw.
All right.
Okay.
So, currently,
They're 25.
the 25. What would you like it?
I think we should take it down to
I think about there.
the second block. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 blocks.
Yeah.
All right, do you want me to quickly run one through?
Will we do it? Yeah. Watch. Come on, you can show the little saw, Justin.
All right, so Warren brought in a fantastic little piece.
Wait, I get over to him so you can hear him.
Warren brought in a fantastic little piece of kit. It's this teeny weeny itty bitty circular saw. Now, me being me, I want to measure this.
You're hearing me
Do it
rattle
by
the
eye.
microphone here, but if I hold it, yeah.
All right, so second block, that's 15 mil.
15 mil, yes.
All right, and then I have to account for that as well. So that's actually 20.
Well, no, the other way to do it is to cut it that direction, so measure from there.
All right, so what I would be cutting off then
Would be 35 mil.
35. Now, I don't like doing it that way because you have to account for the width of your saw blade doing it that way. So I'm going to set this to 20 and do it the way I know how it'll work.
Well, okay.
All right, so down the bottom here, we've got our little measurings. And so there, I'm going to go 21 because I can always cut a little bit more off.
Yes.
All right, watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, wait. Before you do this, surely let go. Surely it's easier to keep it flat using that than to try doing that.
If you're experienced, you should be fine.
Yeah, but remember, you're trying to show the folk at home here.
All right, so if we're going to do it the other way then, same as Warren wants it done the other way. All right.
Well, the other way I could do it, doing it the way you're trying to do it, I don't have the skill or the expertise to pull that off.
All right.
So 35.
So
if you take off, say, 34.
35. So if I take 34.
And remember, you can always line it up by eye once you've got it measured. So
there's 30. I'm going to go 35.
yeah.
Or no, sorry, I'm going to go 33. Because like we said, we can always take a little bit
extra
more off.
Yeah.
All right, so tighten that up properly. This will keep it square. Let's hope this isn't the one where I take my finger off on camera.
Well, wait, turn it off.
Yes.
Why don't you line it up with the blade?
I have a tool.
No, wait, you'll get the tool in a second, but why don't you actually hold it up to the blade to get a look at and see where it's going to cut?
That looks perfect.
Okay, there.
I
good.
trust my measurements.
Yeah, well, measure once, or measure twice, cut once. Where is your little tool?
I did have a little tool made, which makes me feel a little safer using this. I don't know. There it is.
Okay.
So I made a little tool. It is rough, but it keeps my fingers away from that blade. Very important.
Yep.
Because I saw him at it earlier, and I was kind of cacking my pants a little bit seeing you use
Justin
this.
doesn't allow me to use power tools, so.
No, I don't.
Right, okay.
For good reason.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Now, there is a reason I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because that looks as if this isn't sitting fully square in.
Yes.
So by going halfway,
Mm-hmm.
and then coming back through again, should hopefully bring me a lot closer.
Nice.
And be careful using those, because sometimes it can kick small parts out at you.
Mm-hmm.
And if that gets in your eye, that's not fun.
Right, do me another one very
Alright.
quickly.
All right.
Do me another one very quickly, and then we'll pop it in and we'll see.
All right. Where's the something similar, if you have it? Do you have a similar one sitting quickly?
There will be. There will be somewhere. Hang on. I'm looking over here. There will be one. Obi-Wan.
How about I do a 2-inch?
I've got one. No, I've got one. Hang on. Here it is. There we go. Because I have dozens, but they're all still on the sprue. So, okay. And the great thing about the circular saw, the mini circular, is once it's set up at the dimensions, there's just no mucking around.
Yeah, not at all. So, very carefully. And you see what I mean about the wee tool.
Yes.
I can hold this nice and steady. Now here's a problem. It's something everybody at home should look out for. There's a tiny little bit of flash still on there, which would push it out of shape.
Okay, yep.
So, 2 seconds with the nippers, and off we go. Gently. And that's why you use a tool.
Exactly.
If my fingers were that close, that would have been a cut, Justin.
Right. Let's see. I'll let you hold that this time.
All right.
So, whereas here is a bit tight at the moment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If we pop that out,
and pop the other,
and that one out, and go with this and this, just for these one areas. So now, go like that. Obviously I need to trim that as well, don't I?
Yeah, just a little bit of cleaning. Now we have a nicely painted set of this, so I'm not too worried if Warren hashes this one up.
I'm not going to hash it up. Not one bit. There.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
1,
so
2, 3.
All right. So basically, Warren, you want me replacing this.
Yep.
This.
Nope.
You're not replacing this?
I think we should just probably replace. Oh, well, I suppose we have to replace.
We'd have to do that and that as well, which is weird.
Okay.
So I might have to do actually that as well. So there's a few cuts to make, but it's up to you.
Well, we will think about it. Let's have a think. Day 2 has kicked off of our one-day build. So, as you can see, we have everything in situ. So, we've went ahead and reduced the height of the walls here where there is just single passageway. And now, our little barbarian, he fits in tight. It is snug, but hey, dungeons are snug. And Bellorn's mine is going to be the snuggest of all. But more importantly, our Chaos dude now fits all the way through the dungeon. And what we noticed is we only had to reduce it on one side in this bit here, because look, he fits. It is snug, but hey, it's a board game, you know, whatever way we were going to do it. Hey, what do? Make the squares 30 mil, 40 mil? It starts to get very big at that stage. Right, because we have done that though, we're starting to take the flat top, as you see here, and we're starting to put some texture back into the top of it again. Then we've also added a little barrier just along the front here, just to frame this part of the board, and this is kind of like the branding area of the board, but we'll come to that whenever we reach that stage. So today is all about getting all of the tops where necessary, detail and texture back into it, and then filling, John.
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas on the filling?
Green stuff and patience.
Green stuff and patience. We'll see. We'll get a bit of we'll get some footage of green stuff and patience in action. So, right, we'll push on. Okay, we're at a crucial stage. So John is gluing these bits into place and then going over and giving them a bit of green stuff work. Will we show?
Show what you're wanting to show here.
Yeah,
and then
right.
we'll flip it.
Okay, so watch what I'm doing here. So Justin, what is the name on that thing? Bring that over to me and I'll read that out. So I'm using a very special chemical called, oh God, it's Diplodocus urethane. Right. Dichloromethane. Dichloromethane.
It's a good name.
It's got dick in it and it's got methane, right?
It's not meth.
It's not meth. Now, the interesting thing about this is the core component of a plastic cement. So plastic cement is this stuff mixed with a little bit of plastic, because this then keeps the plastic melted and then it evaporates, okay? And then when it evaporates, it leaves the plastic behind and it melts the plastic and cements it all together. The interesting thing is we just have the melty bit, the thick methane bit. Now, this was full when I put it in the drawer. So unless somebody has been using it, Jerry did warn me that it has a limited shelf life and it will evaporate. And unless somebody's been using it, it has evaporated. So what I've done, watch this here. Put a little bit into this cup. And I'm just using it with a big brush. And watch. See here? Watch this, how quickly this works. Right? So that's 2 seconds, and you can already start to see the plastic lifting off with the brush. See that? Ooh, isn't that interesting? It works so quick, right? I'll do these. Okay. So watch. I'll do these. That one. That one. And that one. Put a wee bit in there. And this one. Just pop a wee bit in there. And there. Oh, a wee bit missed here. And here. Which one was it we did? This one? Mm-hmm. Yeah? That's dry. That's dry already. Whoa, really? Right, John, let's flip it over. Okay. So go that way. Oh, it's not ready yet. That's going to need 2 more seconds to dry. While that's drying, John, what are you doing?
I'll take that. We're trying to get all these walls nice and solid together. So what I'm doing is tacking with a bit of super glue. So I'm pressing the bits together so they're good and tight. Putting a bit of super glue in there. Once the super glue's caught that, we get in with some plastic glue and then just sort of help it bond all together. Once that's dry, we'll then be showing what we're about to show, hopefully, if this is dry or not. Mm-hmm. We're then going to go around all the gaps and bits and bobs with some green stuff.
Right, so let's flip that. We'll just flip it that way for the meantime. There you go.
So what I've been doing is going across areas where we've had, for example, Justin, if you can come back to, let me see here, where we have 2 wall sections meeting that don't have flats, and we've been green stuffing that up, and we're getting these sort of finishes. I think a little bit of sandpaper once that's set, maybe. What we've also been doing was when we were carving out the tops of the lower walls, we then put a little bit of plastic glue over the top of them just to smoothen that off and show the rock sort of texture we'd put in again.
You also built up these bits as well.
Yeah.
If I rotate this, see the strength that we're getting into that already? And that's before we even mount it onto Justin's boards.
So what we've been doing is taking the pointed ends of these walls and just green stuffing a little bit of a square off just to make it look a little less like a model part and a little bit more purposeful. So just waiting for all that stuff to set, and in the meantime, moving on to the other half of the board. Go on.
Justin, in the meantime, then
I got wood.
has got wood. We got him some plywood, and Justin has been working away on cutting the plywood, and we're actually going to mount everything onto this 5mm plywood so as to give it a nice solid base. So hang on, John. If you lift that up, we'll just slide that under, and that should fit kind of perfectly. There. So everything will be mounted this evening to its plywood, which means by tomorrow they'll be on a nice kind of solid base. And then we're going to look at a little bit of a trimming. We've got a nice trim that's going to go on it. Justin's going to pass it to me. So we picked this up today. So hang on. If I slide that way a little bit and slide that one that way a little bit, that's going to kind of be a trimming that goes along like that to give it a border and an edge. All in the name of making it look lovely. And lovely it will look. Right, we'll keep pushing on because we want to get this glued down, flipped over, diclomethanated, and then tack 7'd. And that will be us for this evening. Day 3. We have everything now glued down to its baseboard. So we've went with a 5mm piece of plywood. It's quite nice. And then we used magnificent glue, my favorite adhesive of all the adhesives in the world. I haven't had the opportunity to use it in ages. Tack 7. Tack 7 is superb. So it's like a mounts, bonds, and seals, which, awesome. So we put the tack 7 down.
Hang on, that sounds like your Friday night.
It does sound like my Friday night. We put the tack 7 down, and being careful whenever you put the tack 7 down, not to come too far forward, because remember, we need these wee lugs left free. If they got all gummed up with adhesive, that would be bad. And it means that the board wouldn't all slide together. But look at the rigidity we have now. Woohoo! It's starting to look like a thing. So we did that. It all worked out lovely. We've given it a wee bit of a sand just to tighten it all up. And now we're working on edging. So Justin has been mitering up the mighty edging. So we've just been measuring, cutting, and now we're about to slice all of this down to make it the right height. So
Need to take an 1/8 off this one.
9mm. They need 9mm.
Well, actually, I've cut this one slightly too long, but it's always better to cut a little too big.
Yes, but that's fine because we can always trim it later. You know, the important thing is the miter joint.
Yes, but you see, before we split this,
Yes.
I want to make sure every piece is the right length, because that way I've got more to hold on to when it's in the chop saw, and there's less chance of it shattering for being a small piece running through a coarse blade.
There you go.
January tip 101.
There you go. But you don't need to run it through the chop saw. You could run it through the little tiny saw.
At this stage, yeah. Speaking of the little tiny saw,
Yeah?
we've now figured out the thickness of the board to
Yes.
start doing this cut.
Yes.
This one makes me nervous,
Yes.
'cause I have to cut all the way through this.
Yes.
I don't want my fingers anywhere near it.
No, you don't.
So, let's see if I can make this work. Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's try this now. Softly, softly, sneaky monkey. I'm through this, I need you to turn it off, okay?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now.
There.
If I'm right, this should be good.
Okay, this is it. Moment of truth. He's measured twice. He's cut once. It seems a bit big to me, Justin.
Yeah, there's a tiny little bit more needs to come off.
Oh, you buggered it up. Oh, well.
No.
Actually,
Being too big is not bad.
apparently, it's too
Behave.
buku. Too buku. Maybe we want to leave a little bit to raise the board slightly off the...
Well, as it stands, let's have a look here.
We're about 434ths off, I think, at that stage. Would you not
Warren,
say?
okay, everybody at home. Warren has been really hammering me. I was trained as a joiner, right? And joiners are trained in Imperial.
All right, okay.
Warren likes...
I
What the hell?
I thought it was abduction or
No,
something.
no.
Oh, okay, right.
This isn't one of those like old 80s
okay.
confessions of a joiner
All right,
like
because
movies.
I was getting flashbacks to Gangs of New York or something. You were part of the joinery gang. You were trained in abduction and killing with halberds.
Warren just hates me using imperial measurements.
Yes, I don't understand Imperial, but that is definitely 434ths out.
It's a 16th, you twat.
Right.
I think, are you happy enough having that little bit poking past?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I can rerun it if you want.
I think we should probably have a cup of coffee and decide that one.
All right.
Right, we're going to have a cup of coffee and decide that one. 3D printing. I did it in plastic, this whole thing. You could recreate the HeroQuest board using 3D printing. I have seen it. Looks great. I've wanted to do this for 10 years. So 10 years ago, I thought I would do it using Hearst Arts and cast blocks, but the process would take too long. I then thought about doing 3D printing a couple of years ago, but once again, it'll take weeks to get everything printed. So I went with plastic. However, there is 3D printing in this project because I want to make it extra special for the players who are sitting around this table. So, a combination of finding some cool bits and pieces on Thingiverse and designing some bits and pieces of my own. So first thing we've got is custom dice. So I've scaled up the attack dice and 3D printed on the resin printer some beautiful custom dice. So this is them as they come off the printer. So this is a tip. This is warm water. And what this does is it softens the resin in the actual supports that makes it easier to remove the supports from the actual component itself. I'll still have a wee bit of sanding to do to these just to completely bring them up to a nice finish. So I'll probably get some wet and dry and do that. So I'll just remove the last one and then that's them done. Lovely. I printed 20 of them because I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if each player had 4 of his own? There's 4 normally in the box. I thought, well, why don't I just give each player their own 4 combat dice, and then whenever they're doing a combat, they can just roll their own dice. And I suppose in COVID times and things like that, we don't get to share dice as often. So, as well as that, I designed and printed a little kind of, I'm calling it like a little dice rack. I'm not sure how well you can see that. Once we've got these painted, you'll see them better. But the idea being, each player has one, and it's just a beautiful little display for their 4 dice. So they have that, and I also went ahead and designed a player console as well. So the player console has been designed to take the European player card. So you've got the player board there. You track your wounds on D20s. So combat, defense, wounds, and mind. So you can basically just turn that over. So if he's 13, 5, 17, that's very high, and 14, say for example. I also have 2 wee slots at the back. So as you're picking up cards like treasure, you can just pop them in like so and keep your cards visible and handy. So cards in like that. And then finally, I have a wee slot here for each of the 2 movement dice and a tiny slot for a tiny pencil for you to write your notes. So they are going to go to paint as well. I think that's a really nice touch. If you're going to have a fabulous HeroQuest board, isn't it nice to do a little bit extra for the players?
So while Warren and Justin have been busy doing other things, I've been wrapping up the green stuffing, and then a couple of other things were done, like gluing the wall sections down onto the floors. After that, I've now taken it out to prime, and check this out. This is badass looking. I love it when you get that first layer of paint down onto something and it hides all the different colors of different plastics and the green stuff and the filling work and the, that white annoying powder that super glue always leaves. Now everything's a uniform black and looks fantastic, and it's all blended really nicely. So the next step is going to be moving on to zenithing, and we've been talking a couple of methods about zenithing. So we're looking at doing a mixture of zenith with Greyseer from Citadel and Wraithbone from Citadel, but I'm going to annoy Warren in a second here for some opinion on that, because we've not quite fully decided on what we're doing.
Go on, annoy me then.
All right, so we had a couple of ideas. Well, I'll explain the 2 ideas first then. So the first thing was taking all of this to Greyseer, zenithing with Greyseer, and then going in with some Wraithbone, possibly even through an airbrush, and making sort of OSL areas. So maybe once every 2 squares, there's a little bit of light.
What's OSL, John?
Something source lighting.
Object
source lighting. Thank you,
go.
Justin. See how much of that I do in my life. So making it look like there's little light sources throughout the board, but making the rooms look a little darker than the corridors, because in my mind, the corridors are going to be a little bit brighter. There might be a little bit more light source around them. The other option was to zenith the insides of each room with Greyseer, and then zenith the entirety of the corridors with Wraithbone. That's very easy to do because we just get a bit of card, lay it over the top of the rooms when we're coming to the Wraithbone part, and that sort of seals that away. So Warren, what do you think?
I think what might be really cool is if you zenith the whole thing with Wraithbone and then did your OSL with white.
So just take the whole method and just, yeah, okay. So the real answer.
So if you Wraithboned the whole thing, right, and then got your airbrush out and OSL'd in spots with a pure white over the Wraithbone, would we get the same effect?
It'll look like street lights,
And
though.
do you know the other problem is? By the time we're finished putting washes and stuff on this, your OSL may not work at all.
It would have to be the last step.
Yeah, so we'll do OSL at the end. And what we could do is you could do a white and then do a very slight yellow ink over the white, just to give it a more kind of flamey, orangey kind of a color.
We've done something like that before.
We have
as well.
Space Hulk. We did something like that.
Yeah, we did
wasn't
something
it?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we don't have to worry about the OSL then at this stage. So it is really just a case of, do we go with the warmth of Wraithbone, or a combination of the warmth of Wraithbone and the coldness of... But I'm tempted to go the other direction and make the corridors colder and the rooms kind of warmer, where you would have fireplaces and heat sources and the likes.
Well, what we could agree on is just doing everything Greyseer first and then looking at it and deciding, because it'll be easy enough to mask off whatever we do after that.
Yeah.
There will be some Greyseer used regardless, because if something's going cold and something's going warm.
Yeah. Do you know what we'll agree? We'll agree to do something. Let's do something.
Something will happen.
Because we'll procrastinate otherwise.
Yes. So I'm going to go grab a can of paint and get started with Greyseer. And I'm going to leave this with you.
Right. While John's doing that, myself and Justin have moved on to the all-important subject of doors. Yes, you can't have HeroQuest without doors. Now, obviously, the HeroQuest doors are not going to fit that anymore. So, I wanted to come up with a new method or an alternative for doors. So, we've come up with this idea of doubling the doors up and putting a piece of this kind of, it's like a...
Plastic card.
Well, no, it's more like a plastic foam kind of a thing. It's like signage, foam signage. But watch this. If you use a 5mm foam signage and you put it between the two doors, it then just slots over like that. And then that will give us our doors. So at this stage, lots of clipping. And then I'm going to get Justin to saw me out a bunch of this signage, this foam signage. Another day, another delve into the despotic deep that is a dungeon. So, let me bring you up to speed. I'm working on a few of the little pieces that we're going to be adding. So, what is a dungeon without skulls? So these are skulls from Green Stuff World. So I'm just putting a quick coat of Skeleton Horde over those. And some shrooms. And the shrooms are going to give us just that little bit of splash of colour, that little bit of life growing out of the floors and the walls and the things like that you might find in a dungeon. Let's have a look at the doors, because I know people are curious about how we're going to do the doors. Yeah, you could have done the thing where you'd just be plugging bits and pieces out. So you plug out a wall and then you plug in a door. But there was an issue with that. Because I'm trying to create a faithful recreation of the HeroQuest board. Remember, this isn't designed for HeroQuest. HeroQuest is an old product, you know. It's you do this because you love HeroQuest, not because you love dungeon crawling, because there's better dungeon crawlers out there now. But this is a project of love. Thing is, if you unplugged that, your door would be sitting across two tiles. But in HeroQuest, that's not quite how it works. Your door is at one square. So the reason I've done it this way is so as it just pops over and your door lines up exactly with the square. The other reason I did it this way is it's just more solid and faster. I don't mind plugging doors in and out whenever I'm using this as a modular kit in a dungeon. But for HeroQuest, I just want it all there. I want it heavy. I want it secure. And then doing the doors this way is just a good option for that. So these are going to prime this morning. What we did quickly was just go around them to fill any gaps with this Decorator's Flexible Filler that we found. So we're giving them an opportunity just to dry, and then they will go out and they will get primed. Over behind Jono, follow me. We have the initial little prime and zenith down on the control tiles. They're looking good, aren't they, Justin?
Yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah. So all they're waiting for is their washes and little bits and pieces of detail. The board itself, we have been pushing on with picking out the details. Jono?
Yep. What do you want me to add? This is my life now. This is contrast painting my life now.
Yes. Painting lots of wood. But it really is making a lovely difference. So we're picking out the basic details first, and then hopefully in an hour or so, an hour or two, we'll be moving on to picking out or actually going in with the washes to start giving the floors and the whole thing its final coloration. We cut the surround. Did we ever talk about the surround by this stage? A little bit? Okay, so we have the surround cut out. And I have picked up a wood stain. So it's a Danish wood oil, which is going to take it to a more antique color. So let me see. From that to that. So it'll give it a more aged look. And then finally, we came up with the name for our dungeon. So we have been 3D printing as part of this project, as you know. So we printed the HeroQuest logo, and then we did our research, and we found out that Belorn was a character in Keller's Keep who had a mine. So we have christened this Belorn's Craggy Deep. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to us getting that finished, painted up, and then fitted to the board. Probably one of the final steps that we actually make to the whole thing. Right. I'm going to get on with painting mushrooms. John and Justin are getting on with painting wood. And let's push on. See if we can get this to its final stages soon. And washing is now underway. We have the woodwork finished on this panel, so you can see we're going for two different washes. One is an Agrax earth cut with an acrylic thinner, just to take it down a little bit. That's going on the inside of the rooms to maintain that sense of warmth on the inside of the rooms. And then on the outside of the rooms, we're doing a 50-50 mix of Nuln Oil and Agrax earth shade, cut once again with acrylic thinner. So would we say 2 parts Agrax, 2 parts Nuln Oil, 1 part thinner? Yeah. So 2-2-1 would probably be the way to do it. And that's to give us a colder, grayer look on the outside. I also give our little card holders, so these were the 3D printed card deck holders. I give them a little blast of the wraith bone in the middle, just to give them a warmth, something similar to the rooms. And I've just been in with a pure Agrax earth shade to do the internals of them. Justin is going to pile on to finish the painting on this panel, and I have finished adding little bits to the skulls. So skulls were skeleton bone, and then just the slightest little dust with a wraith bone. I'm just waiting for the mushrooms. I just went all red on the mushrooms, just the one species of mushroom in there. They're all right. They're there just to give a wee tiny splash of color. I'm going to put wee white dots on them just once they have dried. I sanded down, so I got myself some wet and dry sandpaper. Poured a bit of water on it, and then sanded down the dice. So the dice are now nice and flat and ready for priming. So I'm just going to paint them with a stone texture so they can go out and get primed at the same time as the doors. And yeah, we'll keep pushing. We are in the final stretch. Logo is being worked on. Doors are done, bar blacking the inside, but they're all washed and ready to go. We have started the beading. So you can see over there, the beading is now making its way onto the board. We are just beading this up, and then we're going to move to an airbrush stage to give it just some extra depth of shading, just to really kick up that illustrated look a little bit. To do the beading, Justin is applying some Tech 7. That adhesive, again, we love it because it's elastic. It's a flexible. So as the board flexes, if you only held it on with something like super glue is just too brittle. We use a little bit of super glue. Yeah, we use a little bit of super glue just to keep it in place. But its true bond is the Tech 7, and it has a bit of flex to it. Check these out. Haven't they turned out nice? So that's our player boards are done. Each player gets their own dice. This is how our custom dice turned out. John came up with a lovely little stone effect. Very quick to do, actually. We just primed them, dusted them, and then just sprayed them with some grey dirty down, and then just kind of jiggled them around inside a wet cloth, and it gave us that kind of nice stone kind of a texture. So they've turned out lovely. I can't wait to see them. The shrooms have their little white dots on them. So very cartoony kind of shrooms. I'm happy enough with them. I think I like a little bit of cartooniness in this. We've been very realistic in other areas, but remember the whole look we're going for is that illustrated. And then our skulls. So our final stage will be adding the skulls and the shrooms into places where you're less likely to clip it with miniatures or hit it with miniatures. Right, we will push on with the beating. Home stretch. So this morning, we've been plopping a few things down just to try and get a feel. I'm delighted. I think we're really getting there now. I think we are really, really getting there. So we've chucked in some of the original HeroQuest furniture just because it's a tribute, isn't it? Yeah.
This isn't the greatest song in the world.
No. So the woodwork is now complete. We've got this lovely antique finish by putting the oil onto the wood. It has turned out really nice. I'm very pleased with that. Much better than I had expected, actually, and fits the board really well. Considering I picked that particular oil more because it was the only one that was left on the shelf. I didn't think it was going to work particularly well, but that antique-y kind of rustic look does two things. The roughness of our joiner is covered up a little bit. He's sitting giving me the bird here, but for like how many times did he mention he was a joiner for 7 years during this project?
Oh, we're gonna need to put a counter down.
It was like hundreds of times, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the amount of gaps that he left in the thing, and he just assured, and the whole time, every time I questioned him about anything, he was like, "Why are you questioning me? I have 7 years joinery. I commanded 10 men. We built a cathedral out of timber in 6 months." Well, this is a cathedral to gaming, Justin, that you've managed to build, man. I'm very proud of you. And your wee gaps and all just fit in lovely now with all that antiquing.
And who was it wanted to split the board?
Me. Yes, but because that's the only way we're going to be able to store it. Anyway, home stretch, John. What have we left to do? We've it's just little incidental details and then matte varnish the whole thing. Yep. You can see our doors popping on, so pleased they're working well. So, and you can move them to pretty much most locations. There's going to be some give and take when you do a board like this. It's the geometry of it just makes it that you have to. The wee card holders are working well. So the 4 main decks of cards are there: Equipment, Treasure, Monster Deck, and Quest Treasure.
Yep. We also did the wee logo underneath them as well. All
the wee logos under there are done too.
Staying on brand as possible.
Yeah. We shaded. We did an airbrush shade to frame the whole thing, to give it just some additional shadowing, just to increase the foreboding of the whole thing. And now we're going to stick a few skulls down and maybe some wee mushrooms.
Skulls and shrooms.
Yeah. But we'll probably fit this logo into place first. We've made a slight change of plan. We think, so much as it's nice, the Bellorn's Craggy Deep, we're going to keep this and maybe stick it on a box at some point, because I think it starts to get too busy when we start to fit this.
Yep.
So we're going to keep it. We're going to keep it for maybe a presentation box or something. Right. Let's get on and work out how we're going to put skulls and mushrooms into this so that our Dungeoneers can have party time. And that's it. That is a proper tribute to the HeroQuest board.
Absolutely, and it's really good to see from when we started, and you were looking at just a pile of little plastic squares.
Yes.
And now, a while later, not too long later.
Okay, so the 1 day build realistically took 5 days.
Technically, no, because it was 1 day to build it.
Yes.
And then the other subsequent days of fitting it properly and then painting it and stuff like that. So Yeah.
That and lots of cutting and lots of, just working how to do things. It's but these are one-offs. You don't do this all the time.
No, absolutely not. And I think as a display piece as well as an actual workable gaming space, I think this is fantastic looking. Because it brought that original board that you showed us, and we're like, we're going to make this in 3D, and I was looking at the board going, it's a bit rubbish looking. And then when all the walls and stuff went together, I was like, no, I can see where we're coming from now.
Yeah, it's such a long time in the making. We've thrown in some of the original HeroQuest furniture into this, just again as a little tribute. But I'm really pleased with how it came out, and I've enjoyed the process. Like I'm really pleased with the player boards that we've created and the custom dice that we've pulled together. I think from what we set out to do. In its simplest terms, what we set out to do was to make a 3D-dimensional, 2.5-dimensional version of the HeroQuest board. But as the project kicked off, it became more than that. It became, well, hang on a second. This is not just about recreating a board. This is about creating an experience so that players... you get your players together, you have a whole experience there. And then it became about little details like the little dice racks, just little tiny details that would make a player feel like, oh, this is something. Even down to, and it's more of a happy coincidence than anything else, the DM screen, the HeroQuest screen, even just fits perfectly in there as well. So it's like, it is a dream come true. 10 years in the making, man. 10 years. And now to see it there in its glory is just like, wow.
I think you're right, going from, wanting to initially do the board and then realizing, no, the board's not going to be enough. Yeah. And what you've done is created a player experience. You've created enough aesthetic around it that when you all sit down, even on a table with the mat like that, you're immediately sucked into what's going on, and you have your little player kit with everything, and everything's colored correctly, everything's customized where it needs to be, and you're giving each player that proper experience.
Yeah. It's been fun. But this part of the journey is over. But my journey with HeroQuest will continue, because myself and Justin have now, we've been looking at this and we're thinking to ourselves, I wonder what it would be like if we recreated all of the miniatures and the furniture in 15 or 18 mil. So if we scaled down the furniture and the minis, we'd leave the doors intact because I want big, heavy doors. But we're thinking now of redoing all of the minis and redoing all of the furniture as 3D prints, but scaling it all down to 15 mil just to see what the effect of that might be like. Because it's very close even as it is. It's I would quite happily play that as it is. I may not. I'm never that tempted to paint the HeroQuest furniture, if I'm being honest, because it's there's better stuff out there, and it's like so much as it's original, I'm not that bothered about original. I just like the deep aesthetic that we're going for here. So, yeah, HeroQuest. There's a reason it's the best board game in the world. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.